เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
The second habit to remain happy in our life is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. The normal tendency of every person is to expect the other person to understand my mindset, understand my tension, to understand my inner conflicts. But there will be a big difference when we are able to identify ourselves first with the other person. When we are able to get into the shoes of the other, to empathize with the other person, to feel one with the other person, to get into the shoes of the other person. In practical terms, I must remove my shoes. To remove my shoes is to forget about myself. If someone is angry with me, I can remain calm and cool with a counter explanation that this person is angry maybe because of headache, maybe because of a confrontation that person had with someone close to him, maybe because of an illness of a family member, or because of a crisis in his or in her life. When we seek to understand first the other person, the confrontation, the verbal tussle, the verbal aggressiveness will come to a stop. God created us with a single tongue and 2 ears. It was done purposely, I believe, because we are expected to listen more and speak less. Whenever we have a clash, a verbal clash, the normal tendency of everyone is to shout, to yell, to speak, rather than trying to listen to what the other person is saying. If you want a problem to be solved, one person has to remain silent and has to lend his or her ears to the other who is fighting with him or with her. There is an expression in English: keep your head above your shoulders. When God created all of us, our head, our brain placed on top, and the heart is placed at the center. Brain has to have an upper hand over our heart. Animals are driven by instincts, but a human being is a rational thinking being with the capacity to reflect. We get angry, we get upset, we blurt out. The conflicts become more intense because we don't keep our head above our shoulders. We take the heart up and bring the head down. So when there is a problem, when there is a conflict, when there is a crisis, the solution, first and foremost, is listening. The step to understand the other person from his or her perspective. That is the implication of the principle that Stephen Covey speaks about in the habit: seek first to understand, then to be understood.
The 5 metastasizing emotional cancers. And if you get involved in these 5 things, I will guarantee you it will create such static and such compartmentalization inside your nature, you will never really find your voice. The attitude and spirit of criticism, of comparing, of complaining, of competing for a sense of your own worth, and of contending. That is a mean spirit kind of argument, kind of a contention. These are 5 metastasizing cancers. Criticizing, complaining, comparing, competing, not in a basketball game or in a marketplace, but competing for a sense of personal worth, and then contending. The spirit of contention.
The third habit is think win-win. W-I-N, W-I-N. Again, if you go into the analysis of a confrontation, a tussle, a fight between a husband and wife, between a teacher and student, between 2 companions, or between 2 groups, we have 4 options. First option, win, lose. As a teacher, I must win, lose. The student must lose. That is one option. The second option, lose, win. That can come from inferiority complex. I am a nobody. I am good for nothing. And therefore I give up. I surrender. I give in. Totally sad. The anger is suppressed. Not able to sleep. Inner conflict. Stealing away inner peace. The third option, lose, lose. Anyway, I am a spoiled person. I have lost everything. I am not able to get back to normalcy. My image is tarnished. I have absolutely no scope for positive survival. I am totally at a loss. And I do everything possible to have the same experience for the other person also. I am totally disillusioned. I want the other also to be so disillusioned, unhappy, sad, pessimistic. The fourth option, win, win. I must win. The other also should win. How can this win-win mentality be brought? When win-lose mentality takes control over us, the triumph will only be for a short while. The Second World War was between 1939 and 1945. What was the ultimate reason for the Second World War? We can trace back to the First World War, been for 4 years, 1914 to 1918, came to a close with the Versailles Treaty. The Versailles Treaty was not arrived at applying the principle of win-win mentality. The principle applied was win-lose approach. The First World War ended with some countries as winners and some countries as losers. And the worst loser of the First World War was Germany. People in Germany were totally disillusioned, disgruntled, unhappy, angry. And that paved the required manure, that gave the required backing for Nazism. Adolf Hitler took advantage of this disgruntlement and promoted Nazism and prepared people for war, to take revenge, to restore whatever was lost.
This year they say there are 800,000 pairs of boots standing heel to heel, waiting for the Führer's final speech. And the high spot comes when, after a detailed review of Nazi achievements, Hitler cries, "My life's fight has not been in vain."
Indem ich euch überblicke, weiß ich, mein Lebenskampf ist nicht umsonst gekämpft. Sein Sowjetzeichen soll er vor sich hertragen und wir werden in unserem Zeichen wieder siegen.
In every conflict, in every confrontation, there can be an ultimate solution only when both the parties feel that they were winners. If one feels that the other was the winner and he or she was the loser will look for an opportunity to take revenge, to retaliate.
A cidade de Berlim prepara, entretanto, uma recepção inolvidável. As ruas, da estação até à chancelaria do Reich, transformaram-se em verdadeiros tapetes de flores. O júbilo de toda a nação alemã recebeu o Führer na capital do Reich.
To remain happy, to experience fulfillment and contentment in life, think win-win, act win-win, speak win-win.
Often say to parents that the kindest thing that a husband or a wife can do for their children is to treat the husband or the wife, the spouse, with tremendous respect and love and consideration, and to model in the home a win-win approach to problem solving rather than a fighting approach or a flighting approach, kind of giving up.
The fourth principle, the fourth habit is to synergize. Synergization is an excellent term for creative cooperation. Two heads are better than one head. In general, people have a tendency to be very individualistic, particularly those coming from a nuclear family setting. Totally different from a joint family setting, will always have the problem of individualism, selfishness, because of the pampering, because of this predilection. Today, no human being can live as an island. We can live only interdependently. We had few years of life surviving absolutely on the principle of dependence. When we were baby, when we were children. When we were teenagers, we wanted to be independent. Every correction, every intervention, every observation given by parents, by teachers, by those in authority, by the elders, were all perceived during those years when we were teenagers as interferences, as inversion of privacy. But that is also a stage of immaturity. The stage of maturity is the stage of interdependence. When we realize that we need to think together, we need to work together, we need to function as a team. Every individual has to become a team player under a team leader. There has to be team spirit. The best explanation for team spirit is given in the expansion of the 4 alphabets in the word team. Together, T. Each one, E. Achieves, A. More. M. More. Together, each one achieves more. Only when we are able to become broad-minded, when we are able to celebrate differences, when we go beyond our personal calculations, when we are able to keep everybody together with a common vision, we can be happy, we can bring about success in all our ventures.
Synergize, in fact, you could almost say the fundamental principle of 6 is to always value differences. It's not something you just accept that there are differences. It's not something that you tolerate. It's not something that is legislated through diversity programs. It is something that you celebrate. I mean, genuinely, the strength lies in differences, not in similarities.